we're here in Brittany's house right now. Brittany is our sister in Christ. We met a couple months ago, actually, last winter at a women's ministry that we all attend. She was in our Bible study, and the first thing I've noticed about Brittany was just because she was just so beautiful and smiling, and later on we became friends on Facebook. And the second thing I've noticed was just how talented she was, because she has a photographer business and she just captures those moments, and it's just absolutely amazing the way how she does it. And then the third thing I've noticed, I thought this was it, but it just keeps going, was her blogs. And I was very inspired by her last blog that she did, because she wrote about how she became a runner. And so she was such an inspiration to me and to Simone, that we thought we're just going to interview her for Live Alaska. So welcome, Brittany.
Thank you.
Thanks for making time for us.
Of course. Thank you guys.
So for the kids, it gets a little busy, doesn't it?
It's a little bit crazy. Yep. All the time.
So thank you.
So my first question was, what led you to start running?
Okay. 7 years ago, and I've talked to people about this recently, but 7 years ago, I couldn't run a mile. It was not something I ever wanted to do in high school, in college. I was in athletics, and a mile was the furthest I could ever run. And I had a good friend of mine that asked me to do a half marathon, and I'm like, are you crazy? There's no way, a half marathon, that's 13 miles. And so she's like, just start for a week, try to go 1 mile at a time. And I do it, and it was really challenging. Like, okay, I think I could do this. After 1 week, I'd go a mile and further and further. And so then we ended up running our first half marathon. It was 5 months after that. So it took some training, and it was really slow. It was, running and walking and stopping. And but then after that, I found out right after that I was pregnant with my first son. Okay. And so I took a break from running, and then I kept up after that and through my next pregnancy, which was not long after. But it was just something I casually did for fun. And then when my middle son was 6 months old, my husband deployed to Afghanistan. He was gone for a year. My oldest was 2, my youngest was 6 months, and I was alone. I was completely alone, and I had no people to socialize with. I was near my parents, but it wasn't the same. And so I would run every day. I threw them in the stroller, and I would just go and run. And I would run until they would nap. If they didn't want to nap, they would fall asleep in the stroller. And I just kind of built up from there. And that was the time when I ran my first marathon. So awesome. It was kind of a couple year progress, but then that's when I really started running.
Okay. So how do you manage making time for it? So you just incorporate the kids in it then?
I do, definitely. During the week, my shorter runs, I always throw the kids in the stroller. Now we're at a point where my oldest can hop on their bike and go, which is so nice. Yeah. And so I only have one in the stroller, because the boys, when they were in the stroller together, were big. I mean, they were so heavy. There was one point, I think my last run with the double, I was pregnant with my baby, and these two were huge. Last summer, I threw them in the stroller, and I'd run, and it was way too hard. You need to go on your bikes, and that's it. But then, so now I just have one stroller, and the boys on the bike during the week. I do a long run every weekend, and so my husband is so wonderful to be there for me for that, and I go in the morning before everyone gets up. So I leave around, if it's a long run, I have to leave at like 4:30 or 5 in the morning, but I get home by 7. That's always my goal, is to be home by 7 o'clock. So that's the biggest challenge. So thankfully this entire year, my husband's been home for the most part, so he's able to be here for me to do those long runs. But
that's amazing.
Yeah, other than that, we just take the kids and go.
Good.
But it is a challenge for sure.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
What do you think was your biggest obstacle?
In my whole running journey, I think definitely my first marathon, and that was the time when my husband was gone, and it was just a really emotional time for me. That was the time when I was saved. That's when I came to Christ, was during that time. So I, became a believer, and I gave my life to Jesus, and then that's when I started really running and really pushing myself, and it was all the same time. It was the fall of 2012, I guess it was, and so my life completely changed, and just ran through a lot of challenges then, and that's when I pushed myself around my first marathon, and it was, I was hooked from then on. So I definitely think that my salvation and my running was all kind of coincided at the same time. It gave me peace, and it gave me a time to pray when I was running that I couldn't have otherwise. Being alone and having my 2 toddlers on you all the time, I needed to have that peace, and that was the only time I could find it. So it was
I started to do a lot of trail running a few years back, and that's where I truly found like that is my best time with the Lord when I'm running through the woods.
Oh my goodness!
It's absolutely. I couldn't even describe.
No. We actually went yesterday. I'm with a group of Shoulder Strong Moms Fairbanks. Have you heard of that?
I have not. No.
Okay, there's a few women. It's from there's quite a few women from PWC that do Stroller Strong, but it's just a big group of women that most of us have little kids, and we work out together and run together. And a bunch of us went and hiked Esther Dome yesterday, and it was like that. You said it was just incredible. Just walking up through the mountains and the trees. It's just amazing. I mean, you can't get more connected to God than that. For me,
I think God gets everyone in Alaska, right?
Yes,
that's what He got me.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
So, how has your whole journey changed you? So, finding Christ.
Right. It was during that for sure.
Wow.
How's my running changed me?
Yeah, or even your outlook on life, or.
I think it shows you that you can do anything. You know what I mean? I think I've had times when I wasn't running, and I could tell how down I would get during that week. You know, it's the same thing as if you're not in the Word and you're not reading Scripture. When you feel just empty and you feel, you just feel heavy. I feel the same way when I'm not running. And it's probably coincided because I don't have that quiet time with the Lord. I don't have my peace that I need. But it's the same way. It's that feeling of I need to be moving. I need to be out, and especially outside. And here it's hard in the winter because you can't be outside.
Yes. Right. Do you run in the winter?
Yes.
Okay.
I did. The coldest run I did was -18, and that was not good.
I did a -20. I couldn't even keep my eyes open.
They freeze. It was bad. And then actually I did the run all day event last year when it was on the solstice, and so you ran throughout the 3.5 hours, and I actually got frostbite when we did that. Yeah. And so the hospital had actually told me a week later that they were going to have to amputate my toes. I know, it was insane. And so that's a whole other story. But my toes healed completely miraculously. They couldn't believe when I went back and they told me that there's no way that they didn't think that was possible. So
wow.
Yeah, I know. Talk about Alaska. Right?
That's Alaska, right?
That's Alaska. Yeah, exactly. But after that, now I've learned my limits, and I
respect
know. I'm
environment.
Yes, exactly. But I'm thankful that I have all 10 toes, and it's safe to keep running.
Wow,
that's crazy.
Yeah, it is. It's crazy.
So, what's your next goal?
My next goal is actually in 2 weeks to qualify for the Boston Marathon. And I'm so excited. Yes, I'm so excited about it. It's something that I think any distance runner, it's something you think about, maybe down the road, I could try this. And I've only been running for 7 years, and I felt like I was in this place this year. Like God had just put it on my heart and told me, like, this is your time. This is the time for you. You have no deployments coming out. You have no babies being born. You have not that much on your plate. You can do it this year. You're in this place of, I have support here. I have so many wonderful friends and other moms that have encouraged me along the way. And I'm like, this is it. This is the year. And so, but only by God's grace have I got through these runs, because I don't even know how I'm going as fast as I'm going right now. It's not my body. It's not my will, because it's every time I finish, I'm like, how did I just do that? So
which race are you using as a
I'm
qualifier?
going to do the Humpies Marathon in Anchorage. It's part of the Anchorage Run Fest.
And that is in 2 weeks?
It's in 2 weeks.
Okay, so we have to keep you on the
for that one. Absolutely. I'd appreciate that. I'm really excited. I feel ready for it, and if I don't qualify, I don't qualify. But it's just trying to reach that goal,
I know you always got to try through something, so.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, there's one thing that I noticed about you besides being beautiful, and like, oh my word, how many different gifts does the woman have?
Yeah.
I've always just been amazed at your joy and how you just radiate love and kindness.
That's so sweet.
Yeah, just.
I appreciate that.
Where did it come from?
I don't feel like it's if I do. Yeah, I don't know. Bye, Libby. This is my husband, Steve, by the way. I'm going to be on the video.
Yeah, you're on the video right now. Now you got to show your face. Come on.
Say, I am the supporter of the runner.
Yeah, come here.
She just talked good about you, that you always keep your kids on the weekend.
Yeah.
Hi.
And this is my husband, Steve.
Hi.
Love you. Love you too. You can say hi to the camera.
Hi.
This is the one that supports me and is here to watch the kids on the weekends, and
I do.
You come to my races, and you support me every step of the way.
I do that too.
You do. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Well, he's working hard as a soldier and a pilot, and all the good things he does.
Cool.
Thank you to all the amazing husbands out there.
Right. Yes.
That support us in all the endeavors that we do.
Exactly. My joy, I don't know, to be honest with you. Like, I've seen such, I don't want to say dark days, but I've had such rough times that, if you don't choose joy, what are you choosing? And and there's definitely times when I don't choose joy, and times at home with the kids that it's exhausting and you're yelling.
I'm tired.
Yeah, exactly. But if you can find joy in other moments, then you do it. You know.
Yeah.
I don't know. And definitely with running, I think it makes me in a better mood, I guess.
Right.
You know, I think that also when I'm not running, it's hard to find that joy. You know, it just sets your mind straight, for me at least.
Yeah.
Doing what you love. Yeah. So.
Absolutely.
What advice could you give?
What advice would I give? I think find what you love. Find what the Lord has given you as a way to find peace and to find happiness. It's not running for everybody, and it's not weightlifting for everyone, and it's not even a physical activity. You know, maybe it's painting. Maybe. Oh, hi. Hi, sweetie. This is a real life interview with not the baby, it's the 5-year-old. But yeah, just working towards goals, especially as military spouses. I think that's so important, is to have things for yourself and things to work towards. Because if you don't have that, it can get really, really lonely, as we all know. And there's times when your husband's away and it's winter in Alaska, or your friends aren't nearby, and you have to have things for yourself that are not your kids' activities and are not your husband's activities, but are yours. And so I don't think running's for everybody at all, but I think that God gives us passions for a reason, and I think that if we use those and you know, do the most we can with those, I think that's living out the gospel every day. That's living out, you know, God's plans for us. And so, just set goals and push yourself for them.
I think it's important for our kids to see us pursue those goals too.
Absolutely.
You know, we mothers, you know, we pour so much into them.
Mm-hmm.
I think it gives them something to look forward to as grown-ups. You know, there's never a stopping. You always keep on going until the end. Run that race until the end.
And that's actually one of my favorite scriptures.
Oh, is it? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's Hebrews 12, and run the race with endurance. I mean, I have shirts of that and hat of that, and it's just, and that's your faith. That's not just with running, you know what I mean? That's
absolutely
up until, you know, our life,
the Lord,
exactly, our walk here on earth. You know, just keep pushing yourself. My grandfather is 90 years old, and he is a runner too. And it's funny because I never ran. He always wanted me to, and he always saw that in me. And he's actually a pastor, but he's 90 years old and he still runs. And he still does races. He does 5Ks, and he's incredible. And seeing that, and he doesn't take a single medication, but seeing that and seeing that he worked his whole life, you know, kept doing it, you know, and he's so healthy and, you know, just living a great life. So it's so neat to see that and see people continue.
So have you run one together yet?
We haven't. I know. We live in Florida. We need to. That is definitely on my bucket list to do. Hopefully, if we end up in the
Well, if you need
48.
somebody in the wintertime to go with you to Florida.
Yeah. We'll definitely leave Alaska in the winter. That's for sure. Yeah. Oh man.
Thank you so much for making time for us and
of course,
for sharing that with our viewers.
Yes, absolutely. I'm glad to be here. Appreciate it. Thank you.
And we'll be praying for you for your qualifier.
Awesome.
And
thank you.
And we'll keep you updated on
Yes.
Brittany's journey.